Hello, welcome back to Muddy Creek Rabbits. I'm David Gerling, and today we're going to talk about sorting a litter. Now, the first thing when you sort a litter is you need to pose the rabbits right. You don't want to do a cellar pose because that's just going to shortchange you and the breed. And what I mean by posing them correctly is you kind of push them up, and you want the hip and the rear feet to be all in one line and the hock to be at the edge, and then you want the front feet over the eye. So height point should be about here, so she peeks a little off forward, and she does slope off a little bit on the back because of that, but that's pretty much how you want to pose. Now, what do I mean by a seller's pose? A lot of sellers, to make longer rabbits or not so good rabbits, especially if they're selling them online, squish them way up. And she won't. Good rabbits will not sit like that. They're just not meant to be. But as you can see, getting her squished up a little bit puts the rise much higher than it was before, gives them a little bit more rounding, and on some pictures it makes the hindquarters still look full. So if you're going to evaluate your litters like this, it's not going to help you at all. And if you see a rabbit you like online that's posed like this, don't be afraid to ask the seller if you can send them, they can send you pictures in a more correct pose. So that's what we're looking for today. And Pixie is a broken opal. Currently, rec standard calls for between 10 and 50% color. Any less than 10% color on a broken or any more than 50% is a DQ. It's a judge's call. To me, this is someplace between 9 and 11% color. I'd let it pass, but if it gets disqualified, it gets disqualified. It's totally up to the judges. So we'll put her back and we'll get the litter out. So this is our litter. A couple weeks back I did a quick video on looking through a litter and see what colors I have. That was this one. These guys are now 8 weeks old. And to be honest, the only reason some of them are still here is I wanted to shoot this video. There's a couple, and we'll go over why, that I would have sent to a snake food and let the rest grow up more, but I knew the doe could take care of this many, so we'll get to sorting. Very first thing I call for, and you should too, is bone. If the rabbit is not going to make weight, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter how good the fur is, how good the type is. It's not going to meet standard. It's going to hurt the breed. You get rid of the small ones first. So just by looking, this one is much smaller than its siblings. If you remember from the video, there was a runt. That would be this one. And also, if you look at the fur is very open, and there's lots of scattered white hairs through the pattern. So this one has multiple reasons to get rid of. So next, we've got a Charlie. And since I have no need for a Charlie right now, sometimes you do use them in a breeding program. Charlies are very good to breed to solids to get all brokens. This also is a tricaster, and we'll go over tricasters in a second. But Charlies, for those of you who don't know, there's two genes that contribute to, well, one gene, two separates that contribute to brokens. It's the EN gene. So, and I'm not going to get too far in, but if you have two broken genes, you get a Charlie. You have a broken and a solid gene, you get these brokens, and if you have two solid genes, you obviously get two solids. So because this one is a Charlie and a tricaster, he's going in the pile too. And if you've noticed, I haven't even checked sex on these things yet. This is the first time I've looked at them, so we are culling exactly as I would. Those two I just showed you wouldn't have even made it this far. I normally start culling. If it's a huge litter and I don't trust the doe, I'll cull day or two after, we do have a reptile buyer that will buy anything from pinkies up to a full-grown Rex to feed to various reptiles. We also have a meat buyer that'll buy at 8 weeks old. So most of these guys normally would already be split off into their separates. So after I sort out those two, I go to fur. Now fur is real easy. It's something you can normally do in a nest box. Normally I would not have this many rabbits on the table. We're just calling out the easy ones first. And just run your hand through. You want a nice dense coat. And even though these guys are babies, they should still have good density. You want a coat that is neither coarse nor too soft. So this tried caster lacks density. Texture's not too bad, but he lacks the density. So again, he goes right away. Now I can see some of you, well, why don't you look at the type? Because there's other rabbits in the same litter that have much better fur, and you need a balanced rabbit. So I go to next. Again, this red lacks a lot of density. Again, its texture's nice, but that goes to the meat. So now we're down to these four. Whoops, don't fall. So now we start, to me, get rid of any more DQs. So this is a tried caster, and what I mean by tried caster, some people call them harlequinized casters, is it's an incomplete trigene. I'm sure somebody can give a much better definition as far as gene-wise go. But it's a caster, and if you look at it and you zoom in, you can actually see spots where there should be a nice even caster marking. Here's some good ones right here. It's not showable. It can hide because caster is the dominant gene in Rex. He's also a little small, and this is where I would start weighing them to compare size in the litter. He's obviously, if you put him next to this broken black, he's obviously smaller. He's wrong type or wrong color, and his fur is lacking compared to the remaining three, so there's no reason to keep this one either. And then there were three. So now we start looking at the whole rabbit, not just parts. So now we'll start to pose. And again, you want them posed correctly. Putting them in a seller's pose is not gonna help you at all. And these guys have never been posed, so you might have to work a little bit. This one's got some scattered white hairs throughout too. I know my lines, I know those will mold out. However, I would not sell this rabbit as is, because other breeders may not realize that. This one isn't horrible. He might grow out. He might be a little pinched in the hind, but he's got a little bit of a long shoulder. We'll let him grow out a little bit, see what we get. So he goes in the maybe pile. So now, look, now we go to the try. This is the one I want. So we look, and now you feel the bone. And if you don't know how to tell the difference in bone, good bone, grab your thumb. Fine bone, grab the middle part of your pinky. That's how you tell the difference. Once you get used to telling different breeds, because obviously Rex bone is going to be thicker than Britannia Petite. But so you have to judge each rabbit, but that's how each breed, but that's how you tell is the difference between thumb and pinky. And as you handle more rabbits, you'll get used to it. Fine bone is where you run into weight problems sometimes, because it's a smaller frame rabbit. More likely on sorehawks on finer boned rabbits because they don't have the foot to hold the weight. And you also get, that's where you get the raciness and length of leg and stuff. So I like nice heavy bone. Some people prefer medium. I can't remember off the top of my head what the standard calls for. And when you're breeding, breed for yourself, breed to the standard. If you're breeding to what wins, you're just hurting yourself in the breed in the long run. As I've stated before, these aren't to how to win today. This is how to improve the breed and improve yourself as a breeder and learning what you're doing. So, it's a nice little try. It's a little finer bone than I'd like compared to this broken red here. But its type looks nice. Again, it's got just a touch of a dip in the shoulder. So, but we'll let it go out. It could use a little more rufous in the orange. This is where I'll argue with some tri-breeders. You want orange, not red. But he could still be a little darker. But he will stay in the grow out pile. Look, and this is also normally when I check litters. This is a do as I say, not as I do. It's a little buck. Check your rabbits more than once between now and when you start showing them. I don't always do that, and I get rabbits DQ'd sometimes because rabbits will change sex. So this little guy will go in the keep pile. And then we got the red. You need to pose. This isn't a good day not to sit. Now this red probably has the best fur in the group. It's unfortunately a broken red. I don't like broken reds, but showable colors, unless you're breeding specifically for tries or something, are the last thing you should keep in mind for. Pick the best rabbits and then worry about color later. Sit right. Sit. And he's got, from here back he's nice, but he's got this long shoulder here. So, and just for argument's sake, we'll check to see whether it's a buck or doe. And it's a doe. So this is where you look to see any comparable rabbits in your barn. In this case, I'd compare it against junior tries or young seniors. And even without getting them out, I know that none of them have that shoulder issue. And the fur does not outweigh the type. So that one will go for meat. So out of, I didn't even count the litter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out of 8 rabbits, 1 is staying, 1 might stick around, and 6 are going for meat. So, and even those 2 that might stick around, as they get older and grow, I might get rid of all of them. It depends on what is best for the breed and what is best for you. So again, we'll get out the what I'm keeping. And we'll actually get that red out because that red will show it good. So this is how it's supposed to be posed. Again, pose your rabbits correctly. Do not pose in the cellar pose. And we'll get that last broken red out and I'll show you why. Ooh, you're actually going to sit. So here's this one. Sit still. And as we said, as you can see, it's got that nice long gap in the shoulder. Put the feet down. Now, put it in a cellar pose. Put it up, squish it up. No more flat shoulder. Feet are up underneath its elbows, but no more flat shoulder, lots of rise, lots of roundness coming over the hindquarters. Still this rabbit. It's always going to be this rabbit, no matter how you pose it. It's going to put this in your line. It's going to put this on a table. Posing it like this. Might look pretty, Not going to do anything. So, as I said before, if you see one online you like and it's posed like this, don't be afraid to ask the seller for different pictures. If you go to a show or to a breeder's house and they show you one and they pose it up like this, ask to pose it yourself. Tell them you want to get your hands on it. Pose it the correct way. See what you see. Don't be afraid to tell a breeder that that rabbit isn't what you're looking for. If they get overly cranky about it, tell them why. Tell them this isn't what you're looking for. Tell them you want a correct representation. And unfortunately, some judges will push them up in a ball. So you got to breed to your interpretation of the standard. And the standard doesn't want a ball. Page 203 in the current standard says an extremely short Rex is a fault. So pose them like that. And unfortunately, that one's not good. Doesn't matter how pretty it is, how good the coat is. Type's not there. Gotta have a good solid house before you put a roof on it. So this one's still a little flat in the shoulder, but we'll let it grow up. It's nowhere near what that broken red is. So, and there you go. That's sorting a litter. Thank you very much. As always, any questions, comments, concerns, comment below, email me. Always open to new ideas for litters or for videos. Please subscribe and like, and I will be with you later.